So everyone, I want to introduce you guys to Al Iaquinta. So real quick, I'll read his bio here. Al Iaquinta grew up in Wantagh. That's right, Wantagh, Long Island.
You got it, man.
Wrestled his way through Wantagh High School and went to become one of the top lightweight fighters in the world. Competing in the UFC for nearly a decade, he rose to the 4th-ranked lightweight in the organization, went 5 rounds with Khabib. How do you say Khabib's last name?
You got Wantagh. You got to go 2 for 2. Come on.
Okay, Nurmagomedov.
Yeah,
something like that.
Good. Come on.
I can never say his name. Lightweight championship and earned a reputation as the most fearless competitors in the sport. But here's what you don't know about Al. While he was still fighting, he was also getting his real estate license, studying on crutches, taking classes twice a week, building a second career from scratch. After retiring from MMA in 2021, he didn't slow down. He went from agent to broker owner, founding Iaquinta Real Estate in Wantagh, serving clients from Belmore to Seaford, Merrick, and Massapequa.
Massapequa.
Letting people in here. He's now ranked in the top 10% of agents in sales in Long Island. So this is what I like, Al. So his
2%,
motto.
Top 2. Oh, wait. Yeah, top 200. What is that? I think I'm 2%. I might be 2%.
Okay, 2%. I got 10%, so even better. There you go.
I think it just came out. I could be wrong with that, but I don't know. I'm going to take it.
We'll go with 2. His motto. I love this. There's nobody going to outwork me. Douglas Elliman, Keller Williams, line them up. He's a Long Island native, a community champion, a broker, and a bona fide fighter. Please welcome Al Iaquinta to Realtor Success Series. So thanks for coming, bud.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Just so a little backstory here. So Al and I spoke maybe 3 years ago. We met through a mutual friend, and we set up. We did like an hour, just a straight interview, just he and I on Zoom. Talked about his career, talked about his going into real estate. Now at the time, Al, you were just starting, or you just kind of kicked off your brokerage, right? Because you were on your own. I mean, you were doing real estate under another brokerage, and then you said, "Screw this, I'm gonna do my own thing," right? So that was about 3 years ago. Or how long have you had your company?
3 years. It's 3-year anniversary's coming up here any day now. Yeah.
How many agents do you have now?
We have 17 agents.
Okay.
Got like 4 or 5 heavy hitters. Yeah, like solid full. It's a small crew. We keep it tight.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. I model the office very similar to the gym that I trained at, Serra-Longo Fight Team, and we'll talk about it.
So let's just get into it, because here's the thing, guys, and everyone knows this. Most if you've been on these Zoom calls, very laid back. We just chat, right? I mean, we'll have a list of questions or stuff, but we'll just go wherever it takes us, right? So we'll just talk. Now, why did you get into real estate? What made you want to do real estate?
I couldn't sing and I can't dance. That's an old.
There you go. Great answer.
Phil Baroni quote. Nah, I just honestly just fell into it. I was on the Ultimate Fighter reality show, and my coach. You fight, and if you win that show, you get a contract with the UFC, and they have current UFC fighters as coaches. One of my coaches was Uriah Faber. He's from Sacramento. Okay. And back at that time, like, he bought a bunch of houses before 2008. When they were giving mortgages out to anybody, he bought 4 or 5 houses all on the same block, and he rented them to his fighters. And I saw that when he was coaching me. He was also a great motivator, personal development, everything financial. He wasn't just like a fight coach. He coached us. We were out there. It was a 13-week the reality show filmed for. So twice a day for 13 weeks, I got to hang out with Uriah Faber and kind of like just absorb what he was putting out there. A lot of it was fighting techniques, obviously, but then also, he had a lot going on business-wise, and I saw that. And he always talked about real estate. And then I heard his story about his houses. I ended up going out after the show to Sacramento and training with him and seeing what he had going on. He owned all these houses. The fighters were living there, paying the mortgages, and he was just building equity in all these properties. It was just genius. I was like, this is the blueprint, So, and he always said, you're going to make a lot of money when you fight. One day, Al, he was like, you make some money, you get a lump sum. He goes, don't spend it all. You got to invest it. And then real estate is a great vehicle to invest it in. And when I got hurt, I hurt my knee. Couple of years after that, I had a bunch of fights, but I had a knee surgery, and I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? It was a pretty serious surgery. I was like, it was a wake up call. I was like, what am I going to do if I can't fight again? Or like, this could end any second. You think you could fight forever, and then you get an injury like that. And I was like, what am I going to do if I put all my eggs in the fighting basket and one day, I get hurt? So I got my real estate license.
While you were hurt, right? Or
Well, I was hurt. Yeah,
yeah.
I had the surgery, and I crutched into the course. It was it was like you could choose when you want to come. You have to get a certain amount of classes. I did it. You couldn't have done it any faster. I did 2 a day for, well, I think it was 2 weeks straight or whatever. It was a 75-hour course. I did it in like 74 hours, and got my license, and then started selling real estate. Did that for a while, and then went back, when finally healed, went back to fighting, and then I was doing both at the same time. I got in just far enough in real estate where I couldn't stop, and I did go back to the fighting. I'd fight and, refer stuff to agents in the office that I was with at the time. And then after the fight, I'd go right back into real estate full time.
So are you still involved? I mean, what involvement now do you have with fighting, with anything, with MMA or anything like that? Are you doing anything with that now?
Yeah, so I retired from competition 4 years ago. It's a young man's game. I was 4 years ago. I was I'm 38 now, so I was like 34, 35. It's an old man in the fighting year. Those 22-year-old kids that are training 3 times a day and just freaking, like, I look at them now, I'm like, and I'm helping a lot of those guys now. So I go down to the
I was
gym.
going to ask you that. That's cool. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I mean, I go down there, and there's some guys that were helping me when I was like in the UFC, and I was, it was kind of like about me a lot. It's very like when you have a big fight coming up in the gym, all the fighters kind of like help, And a lot of the younger guys were my sparring partners, and they would push me in my fights. And now it's kind of like their turn. So I like to be around and help those guys out and give them any guidance I can. And now it's their time, So it's good.
Do you give them guidance as well as like the guy that told you save the money, get into real estate or whatever? Are you kind of grooming that group as well?
Yeah, I like to think so. I mean, I think I try to set a good example in that aspect where people, they do ask questions, and they see what I have going on, and they're curious about it, and yeah, I'm an open book when people ask questions. Guys from the gym, I have conversation. I love talking about 2 things: real estate and fighting.
Yeah.
So, any opportunity I get, and if it's somebody fighter that wants to talk real estate, let's do it. If it's a real estate person that wants to talk fighting, let's do it. That's how I see it.
When you got out, you were basically just an agent, right? Not just an agent, but you were an agent working for another brokerage, and you said, "Nah, I don't want to do this. I want to do my own thing." Why?
A number of reasons. I was helping build a lot of the other office when I was in the UFC, and I wanted to open an office in my hometown, and the broker that I was with didn't want to do that, then ended up doing it. It's a long story, but at the end of the day, I wanted to go out on my own and like scare myself again, do something that was, yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm not fighting in a cage anymore. So I got to do something that's, going to scare me, keep me up at night thinking about the dread of failure. I was like, there's no going back. Once I got my broker's license, I was like, oh, well, now I got my broker's license. Now I got to do this. Now I got to open the office. Now I got to be a top agent in the area. I dug myself a hole, and I forced myself to figure out how to get out of it.
Kind of burned the boats and did it.
That's it. Basically. Burn the boats.
Yeah.
Burn the
now
boat.
You got 17 in there. So like, what is to bring agents on? Because they could go, wherever. They could go to a Keller Williams or whatever. What is your selling point to agents to bring them to Iaquinta? So
I model it very closely to like I said, the Serra-Longo fight team, which was the fight team that I grew up with in fighting, that came up with the Serra-Longo fight team. And Ray Longo and Matt Serra are two very unique coaches, top coaches in the world, if not the top coach, for them to do what they have done in the UFC. Like, they took guys that were from Long Island. A lot of these super gyms, there's these big gyms all over the country that recruit fighters, and they'll have, if they're in a gym in Albuquerque, New Mexico, maybe 20% of the fighters are from Albuquerque. All the guys are everywhere else. Ray Longo and Matt Serra took guys like from the neighborhood and turned them into UFC champions. Aljamain Sterling's from Uniondale, which is 10 minutes away from Chris Weidman in Baldwin, which is 15 minutes away from Volante in Levittown. I'm right there. We're all 15 minutes away from each other, and all in the UFC, and all all had really good careers, 4 of them being champions. So, and they never really recruited guys. It was kind of like everybody, ended up, water sought its own level, and all the people just kind of like ended up in the right place at the right time. The people that really didn't fit the mold kind of got weeded out along the way, and that kept the energy, that preserved this energy in the gym. That was just, I don't know if there's, it was just something that you can't really describe unless you're a part of it. And that's something that I want to build here at the office. We kind of strayed from that for a minute. I think we had some guys and girls in the office that didn't really fit that, and it caused a lot of it was just not what it is now, But recruiting is something you got to do. There is a way to do it, But I've kind of we had some agents that it was a learning lesson with a couple agents that we had here, and I kind of took a step back and I brought it back to the Serra-Longo fight team, and I was like, we got to keep this tight, But now I think it's the time where now we scale. We had a great 2025, keeping it tight, We built the people that we had. Everybody rose and everybody did incredibly well. The people that were in the office that were, putting the time in, I think we showed what we're about. So now I think it's time to recruit. I'm going to Patrick Bet-David. He's down in Miami. I'm going to his sales team leadership conference tomorrow. So I think that'll be a good catalyst for me to really start. For a year, I didn't really go. I wasn't really worried about recruiting. We took on maybe 1 or 2 new agents, but I didn't recruit anybody. Everybody that came just kind of like, they saw us, we talked. It was like a natural connection. And those agents did great. And, putting myself out there in a different way to generate more of that natural connection rather than like cold calling agents, is a way to do it to keep the same vibe without just letting anybody in,
Are you trying to, do you want to expand out of your area? Like, do you want to open up another brokerage, Iaquinta, somewhere out of New York, other states or anything? Are you looking to do that?
Eventually. Yeah. Not in the, the short or medium term goals, but definitely down the line, that will be something that is on the docket for sure.
All right. So I know I've just got a couple texts. Someone wants, and listen, anyone's on this call, if you guys have questions, you can either put it in the chat or just raise your hand or whatever, because I know I got a couple messages here. So Jason, go ahead.
Yeah. I was curious. I've worked with a lot of pro athletes, right? And making the transition from, one high pressure environment to another high pressure environment where basically you really had no experience. Can you, for those of us that are building a business, or for those on here that are building a business where, consistency and rejection are a part of the game, right? What does an elite level discipline actually look like on a daily basis for you? And where do you think people fall short?
So, yeah, you talk about that failure and a high, very competitive. I came from the UFC world where I was top 4 in the world, at one point. I was very highly regarded. I got some deals that were just kind of like thrown on my lap, you know what I mean? But then other deals, and that, I was able to kind of get into some doors that I wouldn't have got into, but also at the same time, it got me into doors where I realized how much I didn't know, and I realized how much I had to start in some, going to a listing appointment and you're up against 2 other veteran agents and you're a UFC fighter that got his license a year ago. You very quickly get humbled, and you realize that Marie from down the block, who's 65 years old, that hasn't even heard of the UFC and thinks it's barbaric, or if she's heard of it, you know what I mean? She doesn't care what you did when you fought Khabib. She's worried about, how you can articulate your value to her sale. And at that time, I was like, whoa, I got humbled. I got humbled. Just like fighting, it was the same. It was when I started fighting, I was a wrestler. I thought I was tough. I wrestled. I was a decent wrestler. High school, a little bit of college. I went down to the gym and I got my ass kicked. And I was like, whoa, I'm not as tough as I thought I was. And I set a goal to learn this thing. I learned the kickboxing. I learned the jiu-jitsu. I put it all together with the wrestling. It took years, but every day consistency and outworking the competition on a regular basis not just one day, like every single day out working, being there earlier, staying later. And then same thing with in real estate. I had to learn the art of sales. I had to learn first. I had to learn like even just the process of buying and selling a house. You know, I sent out a text message my first week I had my license. I said, hey, this is Al. I sent it to everybody in my phone book. If, I just got my real estate license. I'm with this brokerage now. If you're looking to do something, I'd love to help you out. And I got a text message back. Tom wanted to sell his house in Middle Island and move to Wantor. And I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? I was like, what do I think? The guy wants to sell his house. What the heck do I do? I had to start from zero and really just figure it out. And then I felt like I was learning on the job. It was like you can learn from everybody. And there's so much out there on YouTube, books, mentor. Like there's so much, finding a niche and attacking it, figuring out like your sweet spot and what you're good at. And it's a great thing. The real estate business is a great business.
Yeah, I can see how it. No, it did. I mean, in there, you basically said it, right? It's like, it's the discipline to show up every single day.
Discipline.
And repeating the process, but at the same time refining the process, right? And being the first to be there. And in this business, it's a lot of hustle, right? And I can't think of a more perfect transition for a business, from what you went to, because you got to hustle, you got to train. And what probably put you at the top is your discipline. That's the bottom line. A lot of us don't have that discipline, right? Because we weren't, if you didn't have discipline, you would have gotten your ass kicked, right? And that's the same thing in real estate or in business. So you did answer the question. Yes, thank you.
There are so many similarities between the two. It's in wrestling and fighting, someone will come in with their natural abilities. And I think in my career, I just outlasted everybody. Like there were guys that started when I started. We started around the same time and they were stronger than me, or they were faster than me, or they had better cardio than me. But I just worked and stayed consistent. And after a year or two, I was the one with the better cardio. I was the stronger one. I was the one that had, in real estate, kind of the same thing. People come into this business. I came in with a pretty good sphere. My sphere was strong, but I lacked other things. And there's people that come into this business, they can talk, they can sell, they're just natural salespeople, or they have a previous career that helps them, get right into it. And at the end of the day, no matter what you come into the business with, the only thing you can control is how hard you work. So the people that come in, they can come in with all the advantages, but if I outwork you 1% every single day, before you know it, I'm going to be the guy that just dominates the market and has outworked everybody, and everyone's going to see it. Everyone's going to recognize it. It's just like the fight game. When you're in the fight, there's no hiding. You can't hide anything. If you were the one that wasn't working, you can't hide it in the cage. They're going to expose you for it. And when things get tough and, gets to the third round, it's all about heart. It's all about who put the time in the gym. Not one day, not 2 days, not the guy that, went hard one day, then took 3 days off. It's the person that just outworked everybody, overworked themselves to the point where they were just so confident and prepared. Their physical fitness matched their mental preparation, and that's the recipe for success.
There's one thing I want to mention is, I think we all feel like we need to make massive changes on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis to get to where we want to be. But you made a very interesting point. Like if you change 1% per week, right? Like if you better yourself by 1% per week, how much that begins to compound over time, it's remarkable. And that's what I feel like you're telling us right now is like, look, man, resilience, working hard, having goals that are achievable, but like it's just those micro changes that actually make probably the biggest difference.
Well, look at them. I mean, so Al, how long you been selling real estate?
It's about 10 years.
Okay. So 10 years, you're crushing it. You got your own brokerage. You got 17-ish agents working underneath you. And you're top 2% in your area for sales. So, and there's agents out there that have been doing a lot longer that are kind of just like you said in one of the quotes, like, you're not going to be outworked. You're not going to be out hustled, and you're not.
Yep.
So,
Great. Thank you for answering those questions.
Oh, you got it. That's awesome. Really
Megan
good.
has a question. So Al, Megan, just a little, so Megan's my wife. She's on the
Megan.
call. So Megan's in real estate. She's been doing it, I don't know, 15, 16 years.
17.
17.
Well, yeah.
All right, go ahead, Megan.
So, forgive me, I had a showing and I came on listening, but forgive me if somebody asked this question, but a kind of two-part question. How do you, kind of walk us through a typical day for you and how you, do your business? And, I know that you're a lead of numerous agents, but, what percentage, I guess I have a million questions, so I'm going to try to, I'm like, what, do you have a typical routine of your day? Like how you work from the minute you get up to end of day, in terms of any prospecting, and then also, how have you adapted or changed with this market? Because 10 years ago, obviously, it was very different. I know when I started, it was very different at different times. I'm just curious how.
As far as scheduling, I like to work out in the morning. I think working out, but sometimes if I have something like if I have something going on, unfortunately my fitness takes a back seat. I'll get to the office if I wake up and I'm inspired, I'm just going straight to the office, and I'll go to the gym after, and then I don't go to the gym after. So I got to do it in the morning. You know what I mean? That's my thing. I got to go in the morning. I kind of got a little schedule down, nothing too crazy, but I do Ricky Caruth's mentor. I'm a member of his mentorship program. So that's Mondays. I'll during the weekend, I'm on, showings and stuff like that. I'll try to get in at least a little bit in the weekend and set up for the week. Monday morning is really the weekend I'll kind of like wrap everything up from the week, and that gets me ready for the week. Monday morning, I'm getting in. Monday morning, I'm setting the schedule or setting everything up for the week. Me and my senior VP will get in the office and we'll go over pretty much the whole week from that point. And then halfway through the day, Ricky Caruth comes on. I'll do his mentorship program for an hour. That gets me going. It's great. It's on Monday morning. Just hearing what people have going on, and he's always got a speaker or something. So I'll do that, and that's great. And then we do calls. We do cold calls, Red X. Depending on what we have going on, we'll do.
What's Red X?
The Red X Vortex is so you can call for sale by owners, you can call expireds, you can call circle prospecting. I like the circle prospecting. I hit we're doing we write letters to every homeowner in the area. The letter says we make handwritten. It's got to be handwritten. It's great success with a handwritten letter. Now, 3 years ago, I was writing the letters myself. Now, I've got people writing the letters, and the letters go out, and then we follow up with a call. We call the same area, and we've been seeing a lot of success. We asked them if they've gotten the letter. Some people said they didn't. Some people said they did. Sometimes we call people that didn't even get the letter yet. And we say, hey, did you receive our letter? And they're like, well, I don't remember. And then 2 days later, they get the letter, and now they're looking at it. They're like, oh, that's the letter. The guy called me out. We try to get their email, put their email. The goal is to call them and become their friend. The real goal is to call them and they want to sell their house tomorrow. They list their house and they sell their house. Very seldom or very rarely does that happen, or ever. But if they've gotten the letter, they get the call. They might not be interested in selling right now, but we've made enough of a connection over the phone, and sometimes we'll put in a little gift card to in the letters we made a deal with one of the local meal prep companies, Redefined Meals, and we put like a little coupon in for buy one get one 50% off. So we're giving them a little something in the letter too. It sticks out in their mind. They remember it, and we call them, talk to them, get their email address so we can follow up with them, put them in the database, and then follow up with them. Weekly emails. The goal is weekly emails. Sometimes they're bi-weekly,
And then do you pay for the service to get their emails?
No, I'm calling them. I'm getting their email.
You're getting it from them on the phone, so you must get their phone number from a service?
Yeah, so that's the Red X. Red X, you can circle an area and
Got it.
you hit the dialer and it'll just hit every house. You'll see the house comes up. They answer. You say, "Hey, this is Al from Iaquinta Real Estate. I was wondering if you are interested in selling your house in the next 3 to 6 months. By the way, did you receive our letter in the mail? Oh, what letter?" And it starts the conversation.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time, scripting and doing that kind of stuff to where we can get a good conversation going. And even if they're not interested in selling in the next year, you never know. You get their email. Let them know that we'll stay in touch. We'll follow up. Put them in the database. I use Follow Up Boss for my CRM.
Oh, okay.
Blast out. They have a great bulk email feature where you can send an email to everybody in your database. We send local articles, kind of not so much real estate per se, but stuff that kind of has real estate in the article, stuff that's interesting to the people that live in Long Island. Some stuff that is, they're having this weekend here, or top 10 restaurants that we should go to by boat or on the water, or best place to watch best Airbnbs in the area, stuff that just like interests people, So we're staying in their face, and eventually they see us long enough, hit them from all angles. We get them with the letter. We get them with the cold call. We get them on the emails. They're receiving an email once a week, once a month. It's people get to know us. And
so you're doing a lot of just old school stuff, man. I mean, literally, because some of the agents now, and it works. So I think you've seen where, with AI and social media and all that, they're thinking, okay, I'm just going to rely on social media to get out there and get my business. And it's rare. I mean, I know a couple, like in my business in the lending world, there's a gal, she's actually out in Connecticut, and she's on TikTok, and she gets all of her business from TikTok. But that's very rare. So it's one of those things, like, you have to go back to basics, mail, phone calls, cold calling, I don't know, door knocking. Are you still out there doing a lot of open houses and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, open houses in this market, you have to do an open house, because you'd be showing houses till the amount of buyers that come. I was telling you before, I think, right? I said, what was it, Andrea? How many offers they got? 39? 49? 49 offers on the house. 49 offers, and I'm saying none of them were below asking price. Probably. Yeah. Andrew, what was the price of that house? You don't know? It was a lot, like $1 million. It could have been $1 million. I don't know. She doesn't know exactly. But we just got off the phone with an agent trying to schedule a showing, and they said, off the market, 49 offers. We already accepted one. People are waiving appraisal contingencies. They're waiving the inspections even. Imagine that. You buy a house without getting it inspected. But that's, they're finding it. It's like crazy, like a cape, a 2,000 square foot cape, 800,000, 900,000. Like a, I don't know, it's crazy.
Why is everyone moving to your area? Where are they moving from?
Well, I don't know if it's so much that they're moving to the area. It's just nobody's selling. The inventory is shot. There's nobody is selling their house. Everyone's holding on to their 3% interest rate.
Yeah.
And there's still people looking, first-time home buyers, people looking to downsize, people coming from Manhattan that want to,
okay.
Yeah, a lot of people coming from Manhattan undergoing some changes right now, I think, that is causing people. Long Island is a lot different than Manhattan in so many ways. So people, they're seeing the benefit of living here, and they're loving it.
Yeah, we kind of see that here. Like we were talking, there's a lot of people that move up from San Francisco. They want to get out of the city for whatever reason, for many reasons, whether it's their family's growing or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're either coming up north to Marin County or a county up, which is Sonoma County. Or they may go down south to the, what's that area called down there? Like, Megan, what's the area called down there?
The Peninsula.
The Peninsula. Yeah, Peninsula down there. So they're all going.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so they're going either direction. So, but it's crazy. So let me ask you, and I don't know how much you listen to the news or what's going on, like with interest rates. Do you even care in most cases? Like, rates are 0.5% higher than they were 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Does it even matter to you real estate agents in your area?
I don't think it really matters too much. I don't think it does matter really. If they got down in the fives, that would open things up. Things would level out. I think if they got down, into low fives, then people would be more apt to put their house on the market, because then, going from a 3% interest rate to a 5 is not as drastic as a 6 or a 7. You know what I mean? So we can hope that if that happens, things will level out. I don't think, it hasn't yet. And I don't really look at the gas prices because it doesn't matter. I have to get gas, right? So
Yeah.
I fill up my car and I go about my day, and I can either get depressed about it and cry about it, or I just fill my car up and worry about things that really matter. And there's buyers. That's the fact of the matter is the interest rates right now don't really affect the market too much, because it's crazy.
Yeah, there's an agent out here that is a good friend of mine. He's over in the East Bay area. He's been a real estate agent since the 70s, a little older guy, but we've talked about this before. And his thing is there's no good market, there's no bad market, there's just the market.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you could sit and pout and moan and complain about what's going on in the market, or you just adapt and do what you got to do. Like, we were saying, or Jason brought up, it's about the discipline of just doing what you got to do and pivot when you need to pivot.
People ask me, also, Darren, just from a business and financial world for a long time, interest rates used to drive housing prices, but now it's supply and demand, right? Because there's two things, right? So if you were smart, and if you're a smart investor in real estate, you're buying now because you already have the supply and demand dynamic in your favor. So what happens when interest rates get cut? Yeah. You now have two things in your favor. You have major tailwinds. So, so I think there's no risk of people extending themselves in a higher interest rate environment, because real estate supported, the values are supported by supply and demand. So if you get just a minor tick down in interest rates, like Al's saying, under 5%, and you bought when the interest rates were at 6.5%, what do you think is going to happen? It's a multiplier. Your house is going to appreciate, and you'll be able to refinance. So I just think the refinance or the interest rate too high story is grandparents' story.
Yeah, I always say focus on payment, and I've said this, and it's not about the rate. Just focus on the payment. If you're comfortable with the payment, you'll get rid of that payment later.
People ask me all the time, they go, Al, how's the market? I go, when you're number one, the market's great. If you're the best in the business, the market's always good for number one. And that's what, if you're a buyer, there's a deal to be had. If you're a seller and you're in a seller's market, even better. You know what I mean? There are still people winning as buyers in this market. It's just, you got to be smart. You got to know the market. You got to know where to buy, when to buy, how to negotiate. When you're the best, the market's always good.
What's your strongest point or your strongest attribute as a real estate agent? Is it the negotiation? Is it finding buyers, finding sellers? What would you say is your strongest attribute?
It's a good question. You'd have to. Maybe you'd have to ask my clients that. I don't know. I'm always. They call me anytime. I'm always on the phone. I think it's very simple to be top 1%. If you answer the phone and you do like what you're supposed to do, you're automatically a top agent. Like, you're already 99% of the agents. Like, I was trying to set up an appointment the other day. This agent doesn't answer her phone. 3 days. I'm like texting her, calling her. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What do you even do?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, the barrier to entry in this field is so low. Like, they basically take your pulse. I don't know how it is where you guys are, but they basically take your pulse, and then they go, here's your real estate license. So, and those people get business. So in order to get to the top echelon, you just need to do the basics. Answer the phone when you need to answer the phone. Set up appointments, keep a good log of everything. Don't mess up, right? That's like the easiest thing to do, right? Is just answer the phone. And like, you got to immerse yourself. You got to be real estate, and then if you do that, then it becomes the discipline. Then it becomes at the top, there's no big changes. You can't make big changes. Like I said, you make little changes every single day. You do the right things every single day. And at the highest level, that's where the cream rises to the top. You get, the NCAA wrestling tournament was this past weekend, and
Yeah.
the best guys in the country, in wrestling. And some of those matches are so close, so close, so close. But then there's one guy that just goes and just, breezes through the tournament. It's like everybody it was so tight. And then there's one guy that just comes through, and, like Cal Sanderson, Dan Gable. These guys are like guys that just did the right thing every day from the time they were younger all the way up. And then when the lights were on, when it really mattered, that's when they shine. So that's what it's all about.
So that makes me think about, like, there's some agents out there, and so be it. I mean, for whatever reason they may have to, but it's tough to do this job, whether you're a real estate agent or even in the lending business. On my side, you can't do it part-time.
Yeah.
There's just so much to it and so many changes, especially in an ever-changing market with whatever's going on with, the economy and the wars and all that kind of stuff. You have to be involved. You have to know what's going on, because it's going to change things the way people think, and you have to be ready to adapt to what they're thinking and either overcome their hurdles that they may think, okay, there's a war going on. Maybe we shouldn't buy a house now. Okay, well, why? You can buy a house. It's fine. Maybe now is the time to buy a house because everyone's thinking like you are, and they're not going to want to buy, and you have a better opportunity of winning this house. So it's trying to get them to just overcome any barriers. But one thing that I loved about what you just said, obviously going back to the basics, you do emails, phone calls, all that, which is great. I don't know how many agents still do that kind of stuff. There's not a lot. But the other thing you said was you still do coaching. I mean, you have a coach or someone to keep you going, keep you motivated, train you still, right? I mean, you still, like when you were fighting, you had someone training you. So
Yeah.
The real estate business, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's always, you got to keep yourself in check. If you think you know everything, that's when you don't. It's the guys that have a white belt mentality. A white belt in martial arts is the beginner, and some white belts have a black belt mentality where, dude, you just started. You don't know anything. And then there's guys with black belts that act like white belts. Every day they go to the gym like they don't know anything, and they want to learn. They want to learn the newest thing. They want to learn, the edge. They have that. They think that they don't. They think that they don't, and it's that's the mentality I like to have. I really don't. I have almost like imposter syndrome, maybe, where like I don't feel like I belong anything. Fighting, I was like I don't know. Am I gonna, like, do I deserve to be here? I got to outwork this guy because I've seen him fight before and I know how good he is. I got to outwork him. Because if I don't outwork him, then I have no shot. And I think it's the same. I come in with like the same, that white belt mentality that, like, man, I don't know anything. I don't know. Am I even supposed to be walking into this? This house is $5 million. I'm walking into the house. Yeah, I think that's
Dude, you stay humble, right?
Yeah,
Stay humble.
Listen, so it works for some guys. They come in super cocky and it works. I think you just got to find out what works for you, But it sucks when you come in cocky and then you lose. You know what I mean? But if you come in humble and you win, and then you act like you've been there before, that's the way I like to do it.
What was so back to fighting, just real quick. When you were fighting, were you the cocky one? Or were you one that just showed up and did what you had to do?
Yeah.
Or were you real cocky about it?
No, I think I just showed up. I let my fighting do the talking. And
yeah, I love that.
I was never much of a trash talker, but yeah, I mean, and in some aspects, maybe that hurt me in a fight, in an entertainment sport. That's just the way I was, And I think you just got to find what works for you. Some guys, they go outside of themselves in the fight game and probably in real estate too, where they're trying to just become someone else who they're not. And you got to stay true to yourself. And I think people see authenticity and they see real. So I think, you stay true to yourself. You find your niche, find what you're good at. You can always become something else. I think it's always possible to set goals, whatever it is. If you're like, not a social media person, you want to become one, you're probably going to get humbled a lot in the beginning, but it takes if you set a goal and it sounds crazy, to 99% of the people, it's so crazy that they won't even try. but they'll make fun of you when you do.
Yeah.
But then they'll love you when it starts, you get over that hump and the momentum starts shifting in your favor. It's hard. It's that up the hill is hard. Once you get to the top, it's all gliding.
That's great. That's good words right there. Hey, Joanne, real quick, will you put Al's Instagram into the notes or into the message so everyone can jump on there? Because you guys got to watch this. And if you don't get it through here, just text me and I'll get it to you, because he's got some brilliant videos, street interviews. They're classic. They're funny. It shows your personality. You just got that great, obviously, Italian, East Coast Italian attitude, which I love. It's awesome. Two more things real quick. One, and just quickly, what is your workout in the morning? Like, what do you normally do?
This morning we hit the pads, the boxing.
Okay.
Steve Lee is a trainer at the gym. He trained under Ray Longo. He's like Ray Longo's protege. And we go to the gym, we hit pads with him. But I like running, lifting, whatever, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I like those kind of I like
So you're staying in shape for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting back. Think you go in phases. The real estate goes like this. So you can't, you got to always be working at everything. And,
Yeah.
you get the real estate up here, and maybe the fitness goes down here. But then the fitness goes up here, and then the real estate goes. So you kind of like, but it's, as long as everything's always trending up, I think you're doing pretty good.
You don't have a family yet, right? Kids and all that, or what's your?
Just had a baby girl.
You did?
4 months ago today.
Oh man, that's awesome! Congrats!
Thank you.
Man, that's huge. So what's her name?
Ella.
Ella. Oh my gosh, beautiful. I'm a girl dad myself. I'm on the opposite end of all that, but.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my girls are 22 and 19.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's the best though, being a girl dad. So congrats, man! I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing, and then we got one more minute here. So I asked you this last time when we spoke 3 years ago.
Oh, you hit me with one hard one at the end, right? What was it? You got me thinking.
It was if you had a billboard on the highway that could say anything you wanted it to say, what would it say? People see this every day. And it could be work related, it could be life motivation, it could be F off, whatever. What would it say?
If I had a billboard on the highway, what would it say? I think I would put my picture, did we send you the picture? The headshot?
Yeah.
Yeah, the headshot. I got my fist up and it's just, I feel like it says everything. Put my logo on there and say, welcome to Long Island.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. That could be perfect, man.
That's it.
You should check that out. Maybe you could do that.
I might have to look. That was pretty good. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Billboard. Welcome to Long Island with the.
That's huge. And then Iaquinta real estate under there. That would be freaking huge.
I like
That'd be
it.
huge. All right, guys. That's it. We're at 11 o'clock. So Al, again, thank you so much just for being on here. Dude, you're a class act. You're a stud. We love talking to you. Let's definitely stay in touch. So I put your Instagram in there, so make sure you guys grab it. If you guys ever have questions for him, I'm sure if you just go on his Insta and send him a message, he'll be more than happy to reach out. Absolutely. And vice versa, Al, if you need anything out here, West Coast, hit me up. I'm always available to you.
Brother, really good.
All right.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
man.
me.
Thanks,
Great.
Al.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
a stud, dude. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, talk later.
Okay.